Welcome back to MJL 3764. Today I thought we'd take a look at another 70s album. So let's pick one and let's pick Good Times. Good Times was released in 1974 and reached number 42 in the UK album charts. The front cover looks like that. Picture of Elvis taken a couple of years previously, around 1972. Don't know what you think of this cover. To me, I don't really like this cover. It's a bit dark, I think. Bit of a dark cover. And if you've got the FTD version, you'll probably know that they had to do a bit of touching up for this cover as well. Where Elvis's hand is here, it was covering his face a little bit, so they had to re-edit the photo anyway. So a lot of trouble went into this cover, but it's not really to my liking. It's a 10-track album. There's the tracks on the back. Most people know this was recorded at Stax in December 73, except Take Good Care of Her and I've Got a Thing About You Baby, which were recorded in July and were held off for a single. Favourites from this album? Well, I'd have to pick Loving Arms, My Boy, Talk About the Good Times, and I've Got a Thing About You Baby. They're my favourites. There's also a really good gospel number on here as well, If That Isn't Love. That's the back cover. As we know, this was probably the last big studio session that Elvis had. After this album, he wouldn't go into the studio until March 75, 74, no studio work at all on the road, touring extensively across America. And then March the 10th to March the 12th, Elvis went in and recorded the Today album in RCA Studio C, Hollywood. And basically he recorded 10 tracks because the Colonel had signed him up to that deal now. That was his commitment, 10 tracks per album. And in March 75, that is all he gave them, was 10 tracks for the Today album. And then of course we all know he just recorded at Graceland. So he obviously had an issue with Colonel Tom Parker and RCA at the time where we didn't want to record. Unfortunately that led us, the fans, to getting less material out of Elvis as the years went on. But this is a pretty strong album, I think. Very well sung. As mentioned in a previous video, in the UK now there wasn't that many presses of Elvis albums by the mid-70s. There was only about 3 presses of this one, Good Times. So need to collect a few more presses from further afield, maybe Japanese or USA copy on my list at the moment, but this is what I have for now. This is the original 74 one in the UK. This was on the gloss label. You've got a gloss label and a matte label. This is the gloss label. You may be able to just see that. That's the gloss orange label. And this one is the matte orange RCA label. This 1981 pressing is now on the new black RCA label. And as noted before, if you look at track 2, Loving Arms is spelt without the G, whereas on the original copy had the G with it. There's a slightly different back cover on the 1981 new black. And in 1985, issued now on a lovely glossy cover, back and front. Now got the barcode. Loving Arms is now got the G back on the record. without the G. And this of course is on the new German black label. And that's the nice 1985 copy. Before we look at the singles from this album, of course it is available on CD. This was when it originally came out. That's the original CD. Of course it is available on FTD. As a double with plenty of outtakes. And a nice booklet. And there's the booklet. And there's the original photograph, which we spoke about earlier. And of course, if you've got this one, Elvis at Stax, it's a lovely free CD set. Features all the tracks from this album, Good Times, plus some outtakes, also the Promised Land album plus some outtakes, and the Raised on Rock album plus some outtakes, except of course I Miss You and Are You Sincere, which weren't recorded at Stax, they were recorded at Elvis's Palm Springs home, so they weren't on this release. The first single issued from the Good Times album in 1974 was I Got a Thing About You Baby, backed with Take Good Care of Her, which reached number 33 in the UK singles chart. Now this is a USA copy of the single, which is the only copy of this single that I own. So if there's anybody out there that's got an English copy of this single, please let me know in the comments, because I've never actually seen an English copy of this single. The next single issued was If You Talk in Your Sleep Help Me, which was obviously on the next album, Promised Land, so that led me to believe that there was only going to be one single from this album, which was that one, but apparently due to popular demand by the fans, after this single came another track from the Good Times album, which was My Boy, which in the UK was backed with Loving Arms. And this reached number 5 in the UK singles chart in 1974. This is the tan injection version of that single. There's quite a few variants. There's the solid and the 4-prong. That's the jukebox copy. And there's also a Japanese copy here. As this one features the different B-side, which was Thinking About You. Flip it over. There you go. A lot later, 1981, using the same cover, Loving Arms, a different version by Felton Jarvis with all the added instruments. It was issued again, same cover, on the Blue Elvis label. So that's the Good Times album, an often overlooked album I feel. So if you've got this in your collection, why not give it a spin and revisit it. It is a typical 70s Elvis album. It is ballad heavy, but as we know that's what he wanted to do at the time. There's some great tracks on here. There isn't many fast tracks, probably only about 2. I would say the gospel tinged I Got a Feeling in My Body and the country almost gospel again, Talk About the Good Times. They're the sort of only 2 upbeat numbers on here. The rest are all sort of ballads. I get where some fans say he shouldn't have been covering old material like She Wears My Ring and Spanish Eyes, but obviously He liked that sort of stuff. Some fans think that's a bit twee, but obviously he liked Spanish Eyes. He did do it in concert quite a lot during 1974. So there we go. Good times. A good album. Before I sign off, I'd just like to say when I did start these series of videos, it was called Collecting Elvis on Vinyl. I'm on about 60 videos now, so looking at after Collecting Elvis on Vinyl, I was going to do like a series Collecting Elvis on CD, but working it out, that would have run into about 200 videos. We're already on 60 videos now, so if you don't mind, I'm sure you've noticed while we're talking about an album, if I've got it on CD, I'll incorporate it with the vinyl, as I do collect CDs and vinyl. So I hope you don't mind if I do that. That way it'll make it a lot quicker to get through the videos, otherwise we'll be on about 200 videos. So when the vinyl's exhausted, I will look at some CDs. But if you don't mind, while I've got the LP in question out, I'll add the CD as well. Okay, thank you very much for watching. If you've subscribed, thank you very much. And until the next time, just remember, while there's music, life's no waste.